All right, so welcome back to Breaking Dawn this morning, people. We're 22 minutes away from the hour of 8 o'clock, and we want to thank you for your calls and your comments. I mean, my goodness, way. I don't know when, ego is a hell of a thing, I wonder if set up anything for that, egos. You think you ever, no, nutritional plan? We actually going to bring him in now. We're going to bring in Seth now. Bring him in now, bring him in. We'll deal with the Prime Minister's comment on Ivor George's song and the highlights of Trinidad and Tobago last night with the United States of America. We 1-1 at the National Stadium. We'll talk about that after. Wait. Yeah, I tell you. Seth, do you have anything for egos?
Well, as you mentioned that, it may have a possibility where nutritional deficiency can be linked to stuff like that.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
boy.
A lot of mental health issues and certain behavioral practices are linked to deficiencies. Huh? Sometimes when people have deficiencies, certain aspects of their personality might be heightened.
Well, I am starting to think that it's a mental health issue, and a serious one at that. But that's not stray. We do have a topic at hand. I don't want to draw you into that conversation, but nevertheless, oh gosh. Director, put up the Indo-Trinis headline for me from the Newsday. This was a headline in the paper, when was it? 3 days ago. Yeah. Where the Newsday reported a study where Indo-Trinis are more prone to kidney stones. Alright? And the first paragraph is, not only do kidney stones negatively affect a patient's quality of life, but Trinidad and Tobago citizens of East Indian descent are more likely to develop the condition. Seth, take it away.
Alright, so we're going to share my screen because we're going to just look at the article itself and get a nice little understanding as to what is taking place here. Alright, kidney stones apparently is quite a common issue. Now, what I want to draw attention to is this isn't conclusive information because the information was gathered through social media, all right, so self-reporting. And as they mention closer down to the bottom, let me just find it here so that we could see it says, Prasad noted one limitation of this study, which was solicited from the general public via social media. Is that respondents with interest in the condition would most likely to respond. So it can hint that Indo-Trinidadians are the ones suffering from kidney stones more, but it could well be that the Indo-Trinidadians were the ones to respond to the study.
Right, to the study, yeah. Right?
But regardless, it does show that kidney stones is a prevalent issue in the country. And kidney stones can lead to other health issues, including kidney failure.
Right.
All right. That's just one of the major issues which can result into death. And what we need to understand from the information gathered here is the prevalence of these conditions have a lot to do with lifestyle choices. Of course, I always bring back things and show the relationship of nutrition to such conditions. Now, I have dealt with kidney stones in the past. Of course, some topics have to be, you have to go back into them to jog people's memory a little bit with regards to these conditions. Now, for those that don't know, kidney stones are composed of, you have two types, calcium phosphate stones and calcium oxalate stones. All right? Let me just close the screen a little. So these stones, one is caused from oxalates. Oxalates you get a lot from green leafy vegetables, a lot of plant-based foods, potatoes and stuff like that. Has oxalates. Oxalates can cause a lot of problems in the human body because they have the tendency to gravitate and bond with calcium. Right? So they have that tendency. So when you consume foods that are high in oxalates, that tends to happen. So you're at a higher risk for suffering from something like kidney stones, because kidney stones is something that can happen relatively fast it can happen over a period of months, and for people that have it more common or have gotten it before, weeks to form another. All right.
Okay.
So the calcium oxalate stones is formed, we know, with oxalates attaching to calcium or fusing or bonding with calcium, and then of course your kidneys have to deal with that, and that's where the stones would build up and start to affect the kidneys. Now, can the body produce oxalates? Yes, that can happen. And I mentioned this before, where a lot of people, especially when they get in the flu or around so-called flu season, they tend to consume a lot of vitamin C.
Yes.
Excess vitamin C, the liver has to deal with the excess and converts it into an indigenous form of oxalates, which also contributes to kidney stones. Now, oxalates also does cause dietary issues, can cause autoimmune conditions as well, and recently they discovered that it is also linked to cause breast cancer. All right. So, of course, what I tell people, book your consultation, get involved, we get re-educated on proper nutrition, so you would have a more keen understanding on what you are supposed to and not supposed to eat. We tend to have the belief that if my grandparents used to eat this or great-grandparents used to eat this, that it is safe. Keep in mind that there was a lot of poverty back in those days, right? And we need to understand that a lot of things that our grandparents and great-grandparents and stuff used to eat was based on what they could have afforded.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that has governed a lot of things. And because as children, you know, sometimes parents don't want the child to know that, you know, times hard, or want to keep it happy for the child, they might paint what is being eaten as something good or better, but it's because they were in a crisis that they ate those stuff, but the child grew up unaware that it was due to a crisis. And an organism in a crisis can eat things that they are not supposed to eat. And if they don't know that they're eating it due to a crisis, they could pass on that knowledge of what is being consumed as actual food that you're supposed to eat, and then that would pass on from generation to generation, and the further generation or future generations don't have that information that what was being consumed was due to a crisis and not the preferred choice of food or what the body was actually designed to consume. Now, having said that, we have the other type of kidney stones, which is from calcium phosphate. Now, that has to do with acidosis, the buildup of acid in the body, in the bloodstream, and the body now has to utilize calcium to try to neutralize the acidity that is building. Now, one of the things that affect acidity in the blood and in the body and increases inflammation is aldosterone and vasopressin. So when you have too much of that being released, and that could be as a result of something called angiotensin 2.
But
now,
what is that? What is that? Just
so angiotensin, right? So angiotensin 2, Stefan, is something that the human body produces when your salt level is low.
Oh, when your salt level low. All right.
When your salt level is too low, it causes the body to release an enzyme called renin, which is an enzyme secreted by and stored in the kidneys, which produces or causes the production of the protein angiotensin. So that can cause it does cause the release of vasopressin and aldosterone. And these compounds or chemicals produced by the body can cause vasoconstriction, which can increase your blood pressure, and also causes inflammation in the body, and that can lead to an increased amount of acid building up in your system. Of course, acid building up in your system is inflammation, and the body now has to utilize its calcium, where it would pull calcium from things like your bone and teeth and dump it in your bloodstream to try to neutralize the acidity, which your kidneys now have to clean out that calcium from the bloodstream.
That kind of makes sense, you know.
Build up of the calcium. Yeah, it makes plenty sense. Right? A lot of things in health is very straightforward and logical if you know all the information.
Usually, you know, usually if I get like if I get acid reflux, milk. If I drink milk, that's the
right. Now, right, because of the calcium in the milk, try to neutralize the acid, because the acid is in the throat. Not saying I want people to do that. I want people to deal with the cause of the acid reflux, so they wouldn't get it in the first place. That's
like a knee-jerk reaction. You know, you get up in the middle of the night, you acid and chest water, I want to drink some milk, that kind of thing. But you want to deal with it from the root problem. But as you're talking about acid real quick, I only found out the other day, like I had a pain in my hand, in my wrist here, in my joints, and somebody was telling me that could be acid.
Yeah, so as acid can, because basically acid is, if you use it in layman terms, it can be classed as inflammation.
Inflammation, right?
Yeah. All right. So and the acid, what you might call there that you may have described there is some would call it gout. All right. So that is also related to acid, and that has a link back to sugar consumption, because the body has its elimination process of these things, and if there is sugar, it suppresses the body's ability to excrete the acids.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said, when it comes to these things and it comes to health, getting a proper understanding of nutrition, because some people say, oh, his diet is simple or whatnot. The amount of information I have to know to then give that simple diet, right? Because some people might just think it is simple, not understanding that is the conclusion from all the information gathered from seeing all the domino effects of diseases and illnesses and sicknesses. Seeing all of that, it leads to that conclusion, right? So it's not just I just follow in something and I just come up with this. No, it have a lot of thought into it and a lot of process that goes behind it, all right? So being able to, because you know the definition of intelligence is not just knowing stuff, you know, but it's able to see the connection between some things that might seem totally unrelated, right? So that is what true intellect is, because when you could see those connections, many people are compartmentalized, especially in the mainstream medical world, is compartmentalizing their thinking with regards to disease and healthcare, so they don't see those connections between how these supposedly unrelated things are very much connected. So while they might just want to deal with the kidneys alone, it's not just the kidneys alone. You have to deal with the pancreas too. You have to deal with the entire body. So that's why my business is called Sedwire's Holistic Health Clinic. I don't deal with one issue. I deal with your entire body as one unit, because it is one unit. And the quicker we stop compartmentalizing, right, and thinking, right, I just come in to deal with my knee. It's not your knee, it's your whole body, right? It's not your brain, it's your whole body. It's your whole body. It's not your lungs, it's your whole body. One part of the body cannot be affected and not affect the entire body. It's one body, it's one unit. It's a domino effect.
It's like a domino effect. When one thing goes wrong, it has an effect on other parts. I understand somebody saying, because you had to look at it, and that's the thing, you know, we like you said, what was the word you used? Departmentalize. It's departmentalized. We usually do that without treating it, without dealing with the entire problem now. And the other thing that we don't do is we don't really deal with the root problem in anything. We usually deal with the surface problem. And we really don't go down to
symptom suppression is what we focus on, and not root cause. And what you would find is that the root cause is usually the same. But when we suppress the symptom, the underlying root cause has never been dealt with, so another problem is going to manifest elsewhere, and we think that's a completely different and unrelated issue. It isn't.
So what we keep getting is temporary solutions and temporary relief, rather than a permanent,
until it reaches a point where the whole body falls apart.
All right.
Because the main issue hasn't been addressed.
All right. Well, Seth, I want to thank you. I know you have one more Tuesday for the year, until after Carnival. That's next week Tuesday. Right? Seth and Dr. Watson, they're going on vacation. They'll be back after Carnival because we're going into the busy period. So very interested to see what topic we're going to come with next week. But for those of you who want to get in contact with Seth, all you have to do is call or WhatsApp him on 761-1952 or 279-3935. You can get more information on kidney stones and any other issue that you're having. You can get the information from Seth Viola. Let's book that appointment today. All right, Seth, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me. So see you all next week.
No problem, man. Take it easy. So that's set while aboard on the inside, kidney stones. And you know, I forgot to mention, Tim, reading that story, remember we always say there are different types of studies, like this one is pulled from social media. So when the headline reads that kidney stones more prevalent in Eastern or in Indo-Trinidadians, there are many things that could have occurred there, like I said at the start. Maybe mostly Indo-Trinidadians responded to the study, things of that nature. So, you know, you got to understand the different types of studies it has. He works with the full thing. We went through that already in a segment. So you got to be careful of some of these studies that you read and some of the findings in some of these studies. You have to take into consideration how vast and in-depth the study